Owning a home in Naperville is about living a great life today and investing in a secure tomorrow. On this show, we're going to give you the tools to do both. Welcome to the Naperville Real Estate Weekly Market Update. Hey, good afternoon, Naperville. I'm Chris Grano. With me is Todd Gosden from Compass Mortgage. We are the hosts of the Naperville Real Estate Weekly Market Update. Todd, how are you doing this week?
I am doing fine. Beautiful weather. We got some warmth and the snow is leaving. I'm happy.
Oh, it's feeling good, man. It's feeling good. And things are picking up in the market big time. I'm sure you're feeling that. I'm feeling that. And I know our listeners and viewers, if they're out there watching things, they can feel it too. So as always, we're going to talk through the weekly numbers in Naperville real estate. And we've got a topic for you today too. This one, we promised that part of this podcast is about protecting your long-term investment. And that's what homeownership is. It's a long-term financial investment. It's one of when the 10,000 plus millionaires were surveyed for Chris Hogan's book, Everyday Millionaire, one of the largest factors of people reaching $1 million and beyond net worth was home ownership. So let's talk about protecting that equity for you. All right, Todd. So this week in Naperville, we had 96 new listings. That's up from last week by about 7%. Here's the big increase from last week. We had 94 homes under contract in Naperville. That is up 31% from last week. And so far in this new year, that is the largest number we've seen in homes going under contract. So that means that there's a lot of transactions happening out there and buyers are out there and ready to go. We had 52 homes closed this week in Naperville. That's down, but again, that's more of just a marker than anything. That's indicative of business that happened 30 to 45 days ago. So let's take a look at the inventory. And I broke down a little bit last week, and I'm going to continue to do that for us. And I sliced up our price bands just a little bit more. So when we look at the inventory, under $500,000 in Naperville, and that's really in Naperville, the entry level for a single family home is under that $500,000 price point. We're looking at 2.88 months supply of inventory. That's up a little bit from last week. And so we continue to see that number rise just a little bit. Then in the next band up, I'm slicing it now to 500 to 750. We see that up a little bit as well, 2.96 months supply of inventory. Again, these numbers are still representative of a seller's market, but not quite as much as we were just a month ago. Then when we go up to that next level, 750 to 1 million, that's where things start to change. The inventory is growing pretty rapidly there. We're at almost 5 months supply of inventory, approaching a balanced market. When you get over $1 million into those luxury properties, that's where things change really dramatically.
Sure.
So 17 months supply of inventory. But again, Todd, in all of these price levels, from week to week, we continue to see, at the very least, minor increases in inventory, which means good news for buyers, right?
Right.
So Todd, talk to me a little bit. We had a conversation offline the other day about things this month in the real estate market and in the mortgage world. And I believe you told me that they're expected this month to close more loans than any month in history. Did I hear you say that right?
That's what they're saying. This is one of those months where the perfect moment comes together between purchases and refinances. And, it's interesting is purchases are relatively unchanged week over week, but in the last few weeks, refinances are down almost 65% because of rising interest rates. And though we're seeing interest rates move into the lower threes, perspective says that a year ago from now, rates were over 4. So people last year would have died to get a 3.25 or a 3.125 or 3% interest rate. But 90 to 100 days of in the twos, everybody thinks that's the new norm. That is very rare air, right? And so lots of interesting things happening, but people are not losing that much purchasing power that would stop them from wanting to go buy a home right now. That's for certain.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you've got to look at things over the long term, right? It's like any investment. I mean, when you're talking to someone about investing in mutual funds or stocks, I mean, you're not looking at a 1 or 2 month snapshot. If you're doing wise investing, you're looking over a 5 to 10 year period and you're saying, what's the track record here? And so when you look, like you just said, you look back just a year and you say, well, where were rates at before? Don't worry about what happened in the last 2 weeks. Think about what's happened over the last few years. And I've mentioned it before. I remember my first home rates in the sixes. I know there are folks who remember their first home rates in double digits. So it's still an incredibly, incredibly great time.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, it sure is. Really good stuff. And, I'm seeing more and more people trying to, at this point, saying, listen, if I can't find that perfect home, I'm going to start investing in my current home.
That's right.
Kind of an interesting topic right now, huh?
You're absolutely right. And so that's actually our topic for today. So a perfect segue there, Todd. And so, a lot of folks want to know, okay, it's funny. Okay. So I have conversations with sellers, especially anytime the market gets hot like this. And I have conversations with sellers who see things happening quickly. They see bidding wars, they see low inventory, and they think, boy, now's my chance to cash in. I've lived in this house for 20 years. I've lived in this house for 30 years. Boy, oh boy, I hit the jackpot. Well, maybe.
Maybe.
But the question is, what have you done to protect your investment and to continue to grow your investment? Sure, purchasing a home and holding it for a long period of time generally is going to increase in value. But it's just like any asset. I mean, you've got to maintain it. So, what are some things that folks can do to continue to maintain their home and continue to increase the value? Well, obviously, cleaning and maintenance, that's just the very basic bare bones, right? Don't let the structure deteriorate. And, whether that's Todd, you getting out there on the ladder and keeping the siding painted, or getting the leaves out of the gutters, or calling somebody to do it for you, you've got to do those things, right? That's bare bones. Correct. But then let's talk about those things where value really, increases over time. Well, have you finished your basement? Have you don't have to keep up with the exact trends year after year after year in design, but have you at least, upgraded the materials in the last 5 to 10 years? Right. It's interesting, Todd, I'm sure you've run into this. We do, we work with so many clients together throughout the year. I'm sure you've had those conversations just like I have when somebody says, well, I'm going to buy my second home now, or I'm going to buy my third home now. And Todd, this is what I think I'm going to be bringing in equity from my previous home. Right. I mean, a lot of people, they want to take that, put down a nice, strong down payment on the next house. And sometimes they're disappointed to find, boy, I didn't have as much as I thought I was going to. And, of course. And the problem is you've got to some extent, keep up with the Joneses. Okay. Now, I don't mean, again, just from a bragging standpoint, but if your neighborhood is a neighborhood full of homes that are kitchens with stainless steel appliances and granite countertops and hardwood floors, and yours is the basic builder grade from 1990, and you've got laminate countertops and vinyl flooring, it's not going to have that same value. So the biggest thing I can tell you is, before you go to list your home, before you go to buy that next home, have a conversation with a qualified, high-producing realtor. Have a conversation with a great mortgage lender and learn about what you can do to increase your value, and then how much you'd be able to pull out and apply towards the next home. I mean, it's pretty simple, but you'd be surprised how many disappointed homeowners I talk to that haven't taken those steps.
Well, and I think the other thing that everybody has to remember is that if you're going to start doing that, the best thing to do is get in touch with your real estate agent, because you never want to overprice to the neighborhood. You never want to over fix the house versus what the neighborhood is virtually valued at, right? Is that you don't want to have the most expensive house possibly in the neighborhood, right? You want it to be somewhere around where you guys think it's still going to be saleable and they're not going to lose a bunch of money. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. That's a fantastic point. There are some fixes that have better ROI than others, and like you pointed out, in the neighborhood, you don't want to be. There's only so much of a ceiling that you can get to, right? Before it starts to cap out. So
that's right. And as long as they understand that, but they also need to understand that's where your value comes in, because you can actually show them and demonstrate that other houses that are like theirs that have gone through renovation, this is what they're selling for.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you never want to overbuild. Right? Because if you get to that point, maybe it's time to actually have a conversation to see, is it cheaper just to go find that house?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. And instead of pouring all that in, maybe, and especially when rates are, like we pointed out, at this point. I mean, keep your cash liquid. Find a home that has the things you're looking for rather than, expending all your liquid cash on improvements right now. So
couldn't agree more. Yep.
Great point, Todd. Thank you as always. Hey, everybody, make sure you follow us next week. Keep following us on YouTube, youtube.com/Chris Grano. Go to Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts to get the podcast. Make sure you share this with your friends and family that are, wanting to buy and sell in Naperville, or who are just looking to keep up with, again, how they can protect that investment long-term. Be sure to check out my open house on Saturday. Todd, if you're not doing anything, come join me.
Awesome.
Saturday, I'll be doing an open house, 931 Dakota Circle in Naperville in Eagle Chase. It's a beautiful home at the $600,000 price point. So check that out. And as always, contact me and Todd if you need anything. You guys have a great week. Todd, I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Have a good week.